Money, baby, money.
What is up, ladies and gents? Nolly here, and welcome to another Payday 2 video. Yet again, we're taking a look at the Scarface DLC. This is my first video since the DLC actually dropped, and the focus of this one is actually going to be the heist. However, I am using gear from the character pack, which is pretty awesome, let me tell you. And the idea is I'm going to give you a sort of rundown and walkthrough of what the objectives and steps are within this mission, and then towards the end of the video, I'll give you some first impressions and run you through why I think this heist is so awesome, and get out there and play it even if you don't want to pick up this DLC. So, as I said, starting things off with a walkthrough style run of the objective. So you'll immediately be dropped in the courtyard outside of the mansion, and like I said, immediately met by the fantastic view that is the mansion. It's a really good looking heist. It's at sunset. It's perfect. One of the best looking heists, I would say, in Payday 2. The objective you have here is to take out a number of sort of the mansion zone security guards. They'll have 480 health on this particular difficulty, so they're not a total pushover, and they will do a pretty serious amount of damage. Don't expect them just to be like your standard cops you find on the scene. But you're killing these guys to actually locate a special individual. You're looking for a guy clad in a green suit, because once you take him out, he will drop a USB required for the continuation of this heist. Once you find him, you can spawn in a couple of different places. I generally recommend you head left out of the spawn and head round to the sort of dock side. That is one of the primary spawns, and just before that as well, the two places that I have seen him appear most frequently. You take him out, he's just a standard 480 health enemy on the difficulty, and run over to his corpse, pick up the USB and locate the computer that's going to help you hack your way into the mansion to take out this big bad guy. Or then again, are you the bad guy? Who knows? We're all bad guys here, because the SWATs will turn up and they are not your friend, and neither are they friend to the drug dealers that you're trying to take out, the Sozas. So they will be both a help and a hindrance. You're going to get the hack going once you find the computer. The computer will be found in some of the huts found around the outside of the heist. Again, this is randomly generated, but the hack won't go that smoothly. You will have to go and find a couple of power boxes, two which will be interspersed over the hacking duration. Locate those. It's a 20-second lock pit, so do make sure you have a setup that can tank some bullets up, or you got your teammates covering you. It's actually perfect with the particular perk deck I have on, the brand new Kingpin perk deck, because when you're interacting with things, you can still actually inject yourself to give yourself that massively boosted resistance, in that damage you take will be converted back into health. So overall, you should not be taking any serious damage while interacting. And like I said, you'll just have to do this twice, mess around with the time lock and the wires, and you will be allowed in. Overall, this particular section of the mission takes maybe 4 to 5 minutes depending on where things are located. Some of the security boxes may be a long run to get to. I was especially not fond of the one located where you spawn. If you have to run back there, you will have a hard time. One of the escapes is also located over there come the end of the mission, and it is not an easy place to break through. A lot of enemies will swarm you over the wall. There's a lot of place for them to take cover, and a lot of places for them to flank you. So this is a particularly hard part of the mission if you get an unlucky spawn. However, normally I have found them to be located just around the outside of the mansion, and not too great a problem. Moving on from there, once the time lock is completed, you will initially get access to the bottom floor of the mansion. Once you've sort of worked your way through taking out more of these guards, again, watch out, they do a serious amount of damage. Try and take them out with some quick headshots. The brand new little friend weapon that I'm using is perfect for this. It's a really powerful gun. It's got some serious stopping power on it, and I'm also a huge fan of the grenade underbarrel attachment, but that is all for a video for another day. I really can't wait to discuss this character pack, because I do think it's got a lot of very relevant new things in it that you guys will want to try out, especially when this DLC goes on sale. But as I was saying, you work your way through, locate a button, and that will open up the majority of the mansion to you. However, it will not get the boss out of his hidey hole. He will still be taking cover with the vast majority of his guards. So Bane suggests you should maybe ruin some of his prized possessions, and that means taking off paintings from the walls throwing them into a pile, chucking gasoline over them, which you will likely have found at another stage in the mission. There's actually lots and lots of different spawns for this, and it's not too elusive. You will find the gasoline without any great deal of assistance. Pour that over the paintings and set them ablaze, with the hope that it will draw him out, because you're burning a fortune. In fact, you can even see the values of these paintings if, like me, you have Wolf Hood on, and I would be pretty annoyed. They are all located around the bottom floor of the mansion. I think one might be able to spawn just sort of up the staircase when you're heading up to the top. There are 2 burning points that I have seen, one in the main courtyard and one up top. This particular section of the heist really reminds me of the diamond when you're waiting for the helicopter to come backwards and forwards to pick up your loot. I really like that, one of my favourite parts of the map design in the diamond, and we see it again here in the Scarface mansion. But yeah, once you've piled all 8 of the paintings up, at least it's 8 on Mayhem difficulty, which is the only difficulty I've tried it so far on Loud, and burnt them out, you will sadly not irritate him enough. Instead, you're going to have to, screw with a couple more of his prized possessions. That means going out there, finding 3 of his luxury cars and chucking them in the sea. In fact, you chuck one on top of the house. So you call Bile in once you've burned the paintings, head outside, head towards where the cars are parked, sort of around the back side, potentially one of the locations of the laptop where you did the initial hack, and those cars will generally be grouped around a certain area. The first 2 Bile will pick up. You have to attach a magnet to, which I believe is an 8-second interaction, but again, shouldn't be too difficult if you are rocking the Kingpin perk deck, which is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. He'll chuck those 2 in the sea, and then the third one, which is generally away from the first 2 but not too far for you to get to, he will chuck on top of the house, and that will really irk the big boss and you can take him out once he opens up the doors to get his revenge. Do keep in mind, once you enter this next area where you drop the car through, it's one of the most ornate locations I think we've ever seen inside Payday 2, but there will be a ton of guards and a ton of SWATs, again attacking each other and attacking you. It's a pretty cluttered part of the heist. The doors will blow themselves through Scarface style, and then you just have to take out the boss enemy. He doesn't have a ridiculous amount of health. He is certainly no Hector or the Commissar, so just a couple of brief shots from my Grim Reaper style Commando 101 rocket launcher, which I am in love with right now, will take him out. Now, once you've done that, you've completed your end of the bargain for the Butcher. However, you are not completed within this heist. You will now have to pulley out his sort of underfloor cash deposit. Inside there's going to be both drugs, which is, I believe the name for those drugs is a reference to the film itself, and money underneath. It's a pretty lengthy pulley time. You've got to winch them out of the ground, and during that period of time you have to keep the cops away. However, it's not that difficult. They can come up to you from the staircase, at which point you have the high ground and you generally have the shooting advantage, or they can come at you through the windows, but they can only come in 2 at a time, so you're not getting really swarmed at this point. It's a reasonable time for you to sit back, relax, and try and conserve your ammo, especially if you're using the weapon I'm using, because the gun really does have some ammo problems, even with the build I have on. Do keep in mind at this point, snipers become more prevalent, and they have been the downfall of me on this mission a number of times. It's not that there are that many snipers, it's just they are located in such frustrating places on top of the roof that it will not be easy for you to initially get a shot on them until you are out of cover and in a difficult spot. So do keep that in mind as you are pulling this loot out of the floor. But once it's out, you get to choose between the drugs on the top and the money on the bottom. Grab those. You need 6 of them, at least on Mayhem difficulty, to actually complete your escape, so it's necessary for you to grab loot. I suggest if you're doing this solo, like I am, chuck some of it away as a distraction to the cops. They will head over there and try and pick it up and get it away from you. Now, there are 2, I believe, leaving locations from which you can complete the heist. One is near where you spawned in, and the other is at the docks. The docks are infinitely easier for you to get to, not because it's massively easier for you just to reach in terms of different distance away, just because this way you're not out in the open. You don't have to go the front courtyard way. You retrace your steps through the rooms you just took out, and the docks is just a generally more defensible slot. If you have to push your way back to spawn, God help you if you're on your own. I got to this point on my first playthrough. It was actually quite an epic fight, and sadly I was taken down. I just ran out of ammo basically. It was a war of attrition which I lost. So do keep in mind heading that direction will be harder. So if that is the case, take the drugs because you can run with them. The money you cannot run with. You don't move too slowly and you can still throw him the same distance, I believe, but the ability to run is pretty essential, I'd say, solo. However, if you have the back entrance and you're heading towards the docks, you can take the money. I think it has slightly higher value. I could be wrong about that. I took the money just because I thought, hey, I hadn't tried that particular style of play yet. But at that point, you're basically home and dry. It's a pretty difficult walk if you're doing it solo. You got to bring at least 6 bags, as I said, but you can basically chuck them off the staircase, move them back around to the docks, and it'll take the enemies a really long time to head all the way out there to the docks to pick them up and move them out the way. And though you will be swarmed on this side of the building, it's not nearly as difficult as having to make your way back through to the spawn. So those are all the objectives you find within the heist. As I said, the escape point you're hoping for will be the boat. It's a nice easy escape for you to get to. Once you've done that, that is heist over. You get a fairly good chunk of money and experience for completing this heist. Depending on how many people you're doing it with, depending on what difficulty you're on, depending on how much money you choose to pick up, I'd say this is a 25 to maybe 35, 40 minute heist, especially solo. I think with a group you could probably get it done 20 minutes on loud, but stealth is definitely going to be the fastest way to complete this mission, but that is not to say completing it loud isn't rewarding in and of itself. It's a ton of fun. I love the map design and layout. We're moving sort of out of the walkthrough into the first impressions. The music, guys, the music is so good. Some of the best music I feel we have ever seen in Payday. They always get it spot on when it comes to that themed music. You know, Hotline Miami stuff was spot on. They got the feel of those heists perfectly, and it was created through the music primarily, but the sunset, the beautiful location, the way the environment is reasonably destructible, and you do feel like you're messing up some pretty wealthy individuals here. It's a really satisfying feeling, and coupled with the beautiful guitar sounds, it's just up my alley. I really adore the soundtrack to this particular heist, especially loud. So it's got to go up there as one of my absolute favorites. I would say maybe they should, if I was behind this heist, I'd say the objectives are really fun and they're engaging, but I would have liked to have seen there be more variety in them. You know, maybe one mission, instead of you burning paintings, you go around destroying his ornamental vases. You know, that would maybe create a little bit more replayability in this heist. If there wasn't enough already, I'd say that the replayability comes from just how action-packed and how well designed the area is, and the fact that there are lots of different spawns for things. I would have just liked to have seen different potential objectives within this heist. That's the only really gripe I would say, or I guess it's less of a gripe, more of a suggestion moving in to future heists. But yeah, really very impressed. Had a load of fun solo in this heist and can't wait to actually get on there, play it with you guys. There is a giveaway that I'm actually going to do just a little closer to Christmas to get you guys into that Christmas mood, because these heists are definitely, this heist, is definitely worth picking up, and so too is the character pack. Really impressed, as you see in the gameplay. I'm using pretty much all character pack and DLC heist pack equipment, and it works really well, even on Mayhem difficulty, which is, I'd say, the proving ground for a lot of builds and weapons, especially solo, as we see right here. The difficulty for this heist is also spot on, I would say. It might be relatively easy with a team. It was definitely made harder by the fact you have to move bags individually if you're doing it solo, but from my experience with it, I'd say they got the difficulty pretty good. So yeah, ladies and gents, really impressed by my first impressions with this heist. I haven't actually stealthed it as of yet, and that is going to be what the next video is all about, running you through those particular objectives and letting you know how it stacks up to the other top stealth heists. You know, Shadow Raid will always be one in my mind, difficult to top. We'll take a look at the Scarface heist and see how it goes. Those of you who have played it yourselves, let me know how you think it is. Are you a fan of the weapons? I'm a massive fan of both the primary we get with Scarface himself and Scarface's character. Haven't mentioned that in this video, but that is again for another one. And also the Commando 101 rocket launcher. I recommend you guys try it out with Bulletstorm. It's a ton of fun. It may only have 60 rate of fire, but that is plenty for a 4-chambered rocket launcher, as it basically is. You'll have a ton of fun with it. So guys, thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned, as I said, more Scarface DLC videos coming your way, and I'll see you all in the next one.